All right, let's take a look at a new blog post from glancingweb.com. Friend of Salty Droid, obviously. Crystal Cox against the world, literally. And here we have a photo, of course, taken from one of my videos. Crystal Cox is crazy. Okay, well, certainly not the first person to say that. Had Crazy Crystal Cox for a while, but lost that domain name. Lost lots of domain names in this crazy battle. Anyway, okay. And he goes on about someone else. Okay, Crystal Cox erupted into the broad public knowledge in 2011. Okay, $2.5 million judgment, which obviously he hasn't really read the case details. He's just read what the New York Times says or the people that are trashing me. It says, at first everybody was like, no, freedom of the press is at risk and stuff. But once actually plunging into the details, which he really didn't do, it was pretty clear the court had ruled properly and fairly. That's absolutely not true. A judge saying that the First Amendment does not apply to me as a citizen of the United States, it certainly was not fairly. I brought over 500 pages of proof of that blog post source, and it was thrown out. Read the details. Go to www.crystalcoxcase.com, go to obsidianfinancesucks.com, or email me, crystal@crystalcox.com, if you want to look into the actual documents of the case instead of just reading the misinformation by big media trying to trash me and all of these bloggers trying to make me look bad. While ludicrously portraying herself as an investigative blogger and journalist, Crystal stewed all over the web slanderous information about Obsidian through multiple domain names such as obsidianfinancialsucks.com. Okay, I don't have that name. I have obsidianfinancesucks.com. This blog post is, as I said, riddled with bad information. I did not put slanderous information around about Obsidian. I exposed Kevin Patrick for what he did in a $40 million bankruptcy as a public figure, as a court-appointed trustee. He created victims, and I exposed him. I did not slander him. Incoherently alleging that the company is a fraud and how she totally cares about the other people. He says it's extremely generic. It's 3 years. There's tons and tons of documents. There's bankruptcy code. There's a whole bunch of information that I've posted. And if it's incoherent to him, well, I don't know what to tell him. And of course, another person trashing me about capitalizing in odd places or just doing my own unique thing, which is what makes me an independent product, which is one of the criteria of being, a journalist or being media is to have an independent product. The thing is that Crystal could not prove any of her allegations nor back them up whatsoever. So see, he just made that up, completely made that up. I don't know if that's from the New York Times article or he's just reading other people's blogs, but he's certainly not reading the court transcripts, not reading the over 500 pages of proof that I brought, not reading the documents of the case whatsoever, just saying that I couldn't back it up. I had been blogging about Obsidian Finance Group for 3 years. Stephanie DeYoung had been blogging for 3 years. I read internal documents, internal emails of the Department of Justice. I read hearings. I watched videos of inside meetings. I read depositions. I read court cases. I definitely had proof to back up my allegation, and I wasn't heard. This is completely false information. The peak of this legal blogging travesty was when this email, Obsidian, was unveiled. Okay, this email was not the peak of anything. This email was sent by David Amen, Tonkin Torp. Our Tonkin Torp law firm represented Obsidian Finance Group. This email was sent to the New York Times, Seattle Weekly, Forbes, and other outlets by David Amen, who represented Kevin Patrick, Obsidian Finance, David Brown, in the legal case against me. And it was sent to them after he'd already got a $2.5 million judgment. It was just to make sure that, to hurt my appeal process, to try to stop and discredit bloggers as journalists, and it was complete defamation. This was a tiny little part of an email. I replied to an email that he sent me. He didn't send that part. Okay, so this was an email in response to a legal threat, as you can see right here, January 19th, 2011. In December, the December prior, December 2010, I was sent a legal threat. This was a reply directly to that email, and it was sent after I was threatened of a lawsuit, and my lawsuit for $10 million was filed January 14th, 2011. So this was also sent after the lawsuit was filed against me. This was a way to try to stop the legal action against me. See, I knew this was a skill set that I had, that I got from investigative blogging. I just kind of accidentally got this skill, so I offered this as a negotiation to stop. I wasn't trying to say, I explained in detail what it was that I was offering in the next email. There was 5 emails. This was one settlement negotiation. There was around 9 of them. I only offered 1. They offered 8 back to me. So this email was taken completely out of context. It was sent in response to a legal threat, and it has been made to look like I posted a bunch of bad information and then everybody's calling it extortion. That's not what happened. And I was pro se. This is between me and my pro se capacity and opposing counsel. It is a settlement negotiation. Look at the dates, look at all the emails, and you have to wonder, why is the New York Times doing this? David Carr of the New York Times actually spoke to me. I explained to him what the deal was, and he still posted this. David Carr, Kashmir Hill of Forbes, David Carr of the New York Times, David Amen, they're all being sued in a defamation lawsuit by me, which is kind of what this guy means by me suing the world, for what they've done to me. So if you have any questions on any of this, please email me, crystal@crystalcox.com. It is not, it's not good research to just read other bloggers. Read the documents of the case. I'm not asking you to believe me. It doesn't matter to me if you believe me or not. But instead of going to some blog like this and just repeating what people like this say, read the documents filed in the court case, read the transcript, get the facts for yourself if you're really interested in this. And if you're not, then just ignore it. But if you are interested in it and you think that this is not about a suppression of free speech and it's just about me, one particular blogger, well, then look deeper into the facts. It makes no sense. I mean, the First Amendment applies to everybody, right? The judge said the First Amendment did not apply to me. I went to my trial with no First Amendment protection whatsoever. And this was because the judge in my case was protecting corruption in Portland, Oregon. You have to look into the details of what's going on here, folks. Follow the money. Okay, so then he says, how could I do this and protected by the SHIELD laws and by the same company that I exposed, PR services? Yeah, I offered them PR services as a way to negotiate to stop the lawsuit. They kept coming at me. So at this point, at the point of this email, I had already been sued, and like I said, even a couple weeks later, they offered me, if I post about them, I have to pay $5,000 every time I post. They wanted me to say that Stephanie DeYoung, which was the whistleblower in the case, and her father, who was the owner of the Summit company that had went bankrupt, they wanted me to say that they told me to do it and it was their fault and pay all this money to them. And that wasn't deemed as extortion, apparently, but this one email is taken completely out of context to defame me and paint me in false light. So then he says, now a new chapter. And apparently he's missed out on what's gone on between there. They tried to take my right to appeal at a sheriff's sale in Portland. That's happened. Porn industry attorney Mark Rondazza sued me. And this is where Salty Droid come in, because he was on this hate campaign. He's conspired with them, is what I'm alleging, in defaming me and attacking me and threatening me. And so when they sued me, I sued them back in a countersuit. And the judge said I couldn't do a countersuit. Just completely took all my rights, took my domain names, took my First Amendment rights again. So I managed to get a RICO case on the docket where I was the plaintiff. And yes, this is a typo. It's $100 billion. So if you look at the sites, you can see what the actual price is. The I View It technology is worth $13 trillion. The damage these folks are doing is really huge. $100 billion is not ridiculous when you look into the facts. So read the documents, read the facts, try to understand why they sued Elliot Bernstein. Try to understand about this video technology that was stolen and get the facts. This guy is he's just kind of yammering about things that don't really fit together. It's not detailed factual information. Amidst the defendants, you can find a plethora of private individuals, large corporations, and organizations such as Forbes, GoDaddy, New York Times. Okay, yes, Forbes totally defamed me. They talk about a blog I had about a 3-year-old. Never, ever happened. Kashmir Hill is friends with Mark Randazza. She used to work at AboveTheLaw.com, and Mark Randazza was the attorney there. They also posted stuff to allude that I'm an extortionist, and that post was completely taken out of context, that email. GoDaddy gave my names. No First Amendment adjudication. They had a letter. There hadn't even been a hearing to tell them to do it yet, and they gave it. There's a woman at GoDaddy that Mark Randazza says is a friend of his, and he's told people that she helps him to move domain names. So I've been told this by inside sources. Anyway, the New York Times, yes, as we discussed above, David Carr is the one that spread this email. There were several people in the beginning, Forbes, David Carr, Seattle Weekly, that spread the email, and from there, of course, it went everywhere. The University of Montana has a man that sits there all day, every day on the computer, stalking me, attacking me, threatening me. He has been in communications with Mark Randazza and with David Amon, the Tonkintorp attorney. David Amon, Tonkintorp in Portland, has been in communication with Mark Randazza, the Nevada attorney that sued me. They are all attacking me, and I am fighting back. This lawsuit is about me fighting back. Apple is part of the instigation here because Bruce Sewell was at Intel when the iViewIt technology was stolen. Now, Steve Dowling there's been quite a stir over domain names, and they have massive shareholder fraud, and they're not disclosing to their shareholders. So I've been trying to expose that fact, and they are working with private individuals and now defaming me. Same with Intel. Okay, but I'm sure that Crystal had perfectly logical reason for ultra grandiose lawsuit. So yes, read the lawsuit, and yeah, I'm not an attorney. It's not written in attorney language. This is the best that I can do so far to fight back. These big companies, these big law firms, these billionaires are coming after me. They're coming after my sources. They're coming after my whistleblowers, and I'm just fighting back. So he quotes part of it. Over a decade ago, iViewIt technology invented a video coding technology that changed pixelated video to clear, crisp video. These counter-defendants, co-conspirators of counter-defendant Mark Randazza makes billions a year off of this technology they infringe on, each one of them, and they have for over a decade. Also note here, folks, he's not quoting from, I'll have to click on this link in a little bit, but he's not quoting from the lawsuit. This was a counter lawsuit that the judge struck from the record. She said that I could not file a counter lawsuit against Mark Randazza. He sued me. So when it says counter defendant, that means that he's pulling out information from a counter complaint when the counter complaint has been stricken from the record. The RICO complaint is a whole new complaint, and it is for $100 billion. This is completely taken out of the wrong context. What is iViewIt? What type of trillion-dollar technology this 10-year-old company could have invented? If iViewIt is so important, why has nobody ever heard of it? I would have to ask how Crystal Cox is attached to this absurdity, but just seems easy to guess. Well, yeah, guessing is just absolutely ridiculous. 3 years ago, I had been writing about bankruptcies, and I came across information about an inventor who his car had been bombed. They tried to kill his children. They tried to kill friends. They completely shut him down. They stole his technology. All kinds of bad things was happening to this man and his family. And so in writing, and part of it was a bankruptcy through Silicon Graphics, so I started reporting on the story. This was an inventor, this was a victim of corruption, and he was a story that I picked up years ago, and I've been writing on the iViewIt technology for years. I met Elliot a couple of years ago for a couple of days. We're not close friends. We don't see each other. He's just a story that I picked up and someone I tried to help as a victim of corruption. Okay, plaintiff investigated blogger Crystal Cox has reported. Okay, so now he's coming from the RICO complaint. This is from the counter complaint. Plaintiff investigated blogger Crystal Cox has reported on the iViewIt technology for over 3 years. And plaintiff investigated blogger Crystal Cox has reported on defendant prosecutor Rose, defendant Kenneth Rubenstein, MPEG LA, defendant John Calkins, and most of all the co-conspirators listed in this counter-complaint. Okay, Crystal Cox supposedly covered this supposedly amazing iViewIt technology for supposedly many years, and the Galaxy supposedly attempted to hide the proper utilization of this. Oh my gosh, he doesn't even make any sense. Make sense? No. So I'm suing the Galaxy for trying to shut me up. Yes, I am. I'm fighting back on behalf of the inventors. I'm fighting back on behalf of the people that all of these people have hurt and what all these people have directly done to me. iViewIt holds 3 patents. This is not factual. Now, these links here, of course, you can go to this guy's articles and you can research this stuff yourself. But if you go to iviewit.tv and research this story, you can get a lot more facts. This person here is obviously just jumping in to defend Salty Droid, Jason Jones, because he's talking about the same things in the same way that Jason Jones is. It doesn't really make sense. It's not really based in fact. All of which officially granted in 2002, none of which strike as something revolutionary. Every bit of video that you use on the internet today was invented by iViewIt. It is revolutionary. It changed the way that the internet works. It changed everything. We would not be able to stream video in the way that we do for the last decade if it weren't for iViewIt. Okay, you know what, you investigative blogger, you? That's me telling myself, why don't you try to find things positive about Crystal that would justify this nonsense? And I've tried real hard, but instead I found this. Unhinged drivel. Ooh, unhinged drivel. Jason Jones is a clueless on internet marketing. Investigative blogging and reporting is the exact same skill set, not the opposite. And he says no, no, no. I was an investigative blogger for 7 years. I started reporting on people, and I realized that in my reporting, I was at the top of the search engines for whoever I reported on. So it is the exact same skill set, and that's exactly how this happened. I haven't really taken any search engine reputation management jobs. I've put it out there, but of course now the whole world has me as an extortionist, so they've defamed me and they've kind of ruined my chances of doing that business. However, it is the same skill set. I do know this because I am very good at this. He says, of course, I don't know shit about SEO. The sentence is almost as senseless as capitalization, which, you know, I capitalize in odd places. Have you ever read Common Sense by Thomas Paine? So does he. I capitalize where I want to. It's my blog. Judging me for how I write in my independent product is absolutely irrelevant to the facts. Okay, and proves that Crystal Cox is neither a journalist nor an investigative blogger, but is also incapable of learning from her stupid mistakes in the past. And by looking at her website, she also doesn't know shit about SEO. Okay, stupid, and well, you can see what else he says in his opinion. So, he says I don't know shit about SEO. So, I guess we're going to find out, and I'm taking that as a challenge, and I'm going to go for his name in the search, just to show him that I do know a little bit of shit about SEO. Anyway, this is Glancing Web. Check it out. And if you want to know the facts, go to www.crystalcoxcase.com or obsidianfinancesucks.com. I'm not asking you to listen to me. I'm asking you to go to the documents, read the transcripts, read the details of the case. Real news is not about my version or the other side's version. It's actually in the documented facts. So check out those websites, find out the truth about this extortion allegation and all these folks defaming me, and look for this gentleman to be added as a co-conspirator in defamation, because this information is, well, I don't really see any of it true except for my name. Yeah, I was ordered to pay $2.5 million for defamation. I didn't defame anybody, but I was ordered to do that. Okay, iViewIt. Yeah, and then you can click on these links and check out the rest of this. All right, well, have a great day. Crystal Cox here, and start a blog, expose corruption, do what you can to make the world a better place. Have a great day. Bye-bye.